Hello and welcome back to the Phoenix YouTube channel, and welcome back to another tier list video. Now last time we of course did a tier list of every single Doctor Who finale. This time I want to mix it up and do every single Doctor Who series opener, starting off all the way back with Rose in 2005. Now for me, Rose is C tier. It's alright as an opener, but there's nothing special about it. It's not really that good an episode. Hell, it's got Mickey Smith being attacked by the wheelie bin. For me, it's a very mid-series opener, but it is a classic. Now, the next series opener was New Earth. New Earth doesn't go into F tier like a lot of people might put it. For me, it goes into D tier. This episode isn't good, that's no secret. But it's also not as bad as people say. It's not the worst thing. It's alright. But it's not as good as Rose. It's certainly not anywhere near being a good episode. We have Smith and Jones. A very solid episode. A very enjoyable episode. The hospital being taken up to the moon. For me, it's at least B tier. The question is B or A. Because I don't think it's quite S tier. For now, I'm going to put it in A tier, where it can easily be moved if needs be. Smith and Jones is a good episode. For now, this episode goes into A tier. Then we have Partners in Crime. That's quite difficult to place with Smith and Jones because I think Smith and Jones is the better episode. But Partners in Crime is more fun because of Donna. That being said, I think they deserve to be in the same tier, but I think I'll keep Smith and Jones above it. Then we have the episode which a lot of people point to as the best series opener of the modern era, and they point to it for a reason. The 11th Hour goes into S tier. This episode is just a perfect introduction to Matt Smith as the Doctor, Amy as the companion, and what the show is just overall. The scene where he walks through his past faces is perfect, and if anyone really wants to be introduced to Doctor Who, this is not a bad episode to do it. The 11th Hour has to be an S tier. Then we have the Series 6 opener, The Impossible Astronaut, which for me is worthy of A tier again. The episode's just so interesting as a season opener, and there's nothing quite like it. The fact that in the first episode of the season they just kill off the Doctor. The whole concept of the episode is just great. Although it doesn't have quite as much going on, which feels weird to say considering the Doctor literally died in it, but it just doesn't have quite as much going on as the ones above it. For me, Asylum of the Daleks, I don't know what it is, goes into B tier. It has more to it than Rose for me, but it's not got as much going for it as these ones. I think for most people the Series 7 opener would be quite forgettable, and I think one of the reasons for that is the series openers which don't introduce anyone new don't feel quite impactful. This doesn't really shift anything, but it is a good episode. The eggs, the introduction to Clara, it sets up the series quite well and leads into one of the best episodes in the history of the show, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. The best thing ever written by Chris Chibnall. And yes, I know he wrote for Torchwood, but it doesn't matter. It's the best thing Chris Chibnall ever wrote. Now we have Deep Breath, which for me goes into C tier. And not as high as Rose because it doesn't have nostalgia, it doesn't have impact. Deep Breath, it just isn't really that fun. It's quite dull, really. Now I know that the point of the 12th Doctor is that he starts off grumpy, starts off miserable, and then becomes more fun later on. But that doesn't mean that watching the grumpy, miserable Doctor is fun. Quite the opposite. Peter Capaldi ends up being one of the best Doctors, but until he gets to that point, his episodes just aren't that great. At least most of them. And that's why this episode falls into C tier and can't make it anywhere higher. Unlike the first, really, two-part opener, which is The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, which I will sort of group together. and put into B tier, but above Asylum of the Daleks. These 2 episodes are fun. They have Capaldi being far better with his guitar. They have Clara again as the companion. And they have Missy. They also have Davros and the Daleks. In Davros' only other appearance other than Stolen Earth and Journey's End. The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar aren't the best, but they're solid enough episodes and they deserve their placement in this list. The pilot is actually a great introduction to a new series of Doctor Who, and deserves to be in A tier. And in fact, I want to be a bit rogue here and put it here. Series 10 is a very good series, and its opener follows that pattern. The Woman Who Fell to Earth deserves to be in B tier. I can't feel like I can put it into A, but I can push it to here. The Woman Who Fell to Earth is a very great introduction to Jodie as the Doctor, to Bradley Walsh as the companion, to Yaz as the other companion, and to Ryan as the cardboard cutout in the corner. This is the episode that gave us Ryan on a bike.
You doing it, mate?
Of course, Ryan couldn't ride the bike because of his dyspraxia, although he could get perfect headshots on sniper bots using a rifle due to quote-unquote Call of Duty. Although this era of Doctor Who wasn't a bright spot, this episode is perfectly acceptable, and a good episode at that. Then we have Spyfall Part 1. Now, I am not taking into account Spyfall Part 2, as that would probably bring it down to C tier. You take that out, it goes to A tier. I don't know how high up A tier it can go, and I don't want to put it too high, just because of what would follow. But it does deserve to be there. That mask reveal, as funny as it is, was a great moment. Graham doing the soft shoe shuffle.
Don't make me do the old soft shoe shuffle.
All the spy stuff was just great. The episode's just a fun one and a great way to start off a series, and really, it once again gave me hope that it could lead on to a great season. And talking of getting hope from a series opener, we have the Halloween Apocalypse, which deserves to be in B tier. Now, I can't put it much higher than that, because as much as we focus on the good, which was of course Dan, christened Evil Dan after this episode of course, and we had highlights like Carvinista, we also had low spots like Swarm and Azure. Overall though, it's still a very fun episode and deserves to be in B tier. Mostly due to Dan. Dan is the MVP. Dan hard carries this episode into B. And Graham's also a big part of why that one's in B. Then we have Space Babies, which falls all the way down into F tier. Yep. Ooh, the colour scheme works. Look at that. The grey, the green, the yellow, the orangey. Yes, this episode is the epitome of F tier. Now, when I ranked Doctor Who Series 14, this episode went into F tier. It once again has that placement today. Now, a lot of that has to do not just with the Space Babies, which are bad, but also the Bogey Monster. Not the Bogey Monster itself, not that its design looked crap or that it wasn't kind of creepy, which it was alright. Just the fact that it got revealed to be made of bogies. Oh, and the ship flying off due to fart power. There's so much wrong with this episode, the whole thing. It's just crap. It really wasn't a good episode to kick off a new era of Doctor Who. Although I hope that this era could recover. Remember that Tennant was also brought in during a Christmas special. Remember that Tennant's series opener was also bad. Remember that Tennant's season was considered to be not good. But Tennant then went on to be an absolutely brilliant Doctor under Russell T Davies. Maybe we could see a similar thing happen with Ncuti Gatwa. I hope so. And if Russell can't make it work, maybe someone else can. I think we all know who needs to be showrunner. Do I even need to say his name?
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
No, not Joe Hendry. Crispy Pro. Hashtag Crispy for showrunner. Thank you for watching this tier list video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please like, please leave a comment telling me more videos which I can do in the future, and please subscribe. Thank you for watching.